Hello. So once again, we're pivoting the channel. Last time I said that reading manga was, a little too plebeian, a little too crass maybe, and then we need to focus on true education, just learning facts about the world. But I realized that even the world as an entity is very kind of corrupted, vulgar, low, base, etc. And really maybe doesn't deserve the sort of scrutiny that we're giving it. We're talking about Hawking radiation or whoever Napoleon is, and who cares? But think about it. In 1996, human beings lucked into perfection. Not in Mario 64 in the way that they intended it. Not Mario 64 as laid out by Nintendo, but in Mario 64, the actual digital entity that was made, including all of the mistakes, and including all of the things unforeseen, things that takes people like pannenkoek to tease out over many, many years. And the ultimate refinement of that has to be Koopa running around. Koopa displaced from his shell, somewhat like the alienation that all of us feel as we are removed from the womb, is now running randomly, truly randomly, around the entire level of Bob-omp's battlefields. As Pennen explains in the description, Koopa has no deactivation radius. Only if he gets far enough away from Mario does he turn off, so to speak. But he is actually free to roam anywhere in the level that his little legs can take him. And in a beautiful experiment, commemorating a day that is always marked by radical change and experimentation, Pannenkoek has hacked the game so that the proximity to Mario doesn't matter, and has hacked the camera so that it is Koopa's perspective this entire time, and let him roam free. In this beautifully artistic metaphor for the modern era, the modern world, we see Koopa exploring this terrain that he cannot comprehend, that he has no meaning of, inching his way closer to things that we, the viewing chat, find interesting, find substantial. Just now, we saw that he was going up that slope near the Chain Chomp pit, possibly enabling himself to make greater strides up the mountain. I'm sure everyone is hoping for him to get to the top of the mountain where the race concludes between Koopa the Quick. It's not sure if this is Koopa the Quick or if this is just another Koopa. I know he only shows up after you've beaten the Koopa the Quick mission, which is quite interesting. But that could also be based on the fact that they don't want you to be able to do the Koopa the Quick mission while sliding on his shell. It's hard to say. It's hard to look into the mind of Nintendo. And as I said before, we've gone so far beyond Mario 64 as something that reflects the artistic intent of Nintendo, but in the way that video games really excel as a medium, has become this emergent piece of art, which has facilitated projects such as the A-Button Challenge, the No Joystick Challenge, speedrunning of all sorts, and other artistic projects that I cannot even begin to enumerate. So we see him inching his way towards these things that we find significant. A lot of people cheering for him to walk into the hole for the cannon. I guess they're unaware that for non-Mario entities, they'll just walk over top of it. And likewise, when he gets to the top of the mountain, it's probably going to be very uninteresting. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, I thought he just walked over it, but he just can't fall into it. Nothing interesting is going to happen. He'll just kind of be stuck up there for a long time because it'll take a while for him to happen upon the path that leads him back down. He can't fall, of course, as we just saw. So it's like, again, sort of a metaphor for human experience. We do things that we think are significant. We do things that we think will bring us to some kind of meaningful truth. Usually, just like the top of this mountain, there is something that is so far, so distant, so extremely unlikely that we feel safe putting all of our eggs into, so to speak, that we feel safe as saying, well, there's where meaning truly resides. Once you're able to achieve this or achieve that, Um, I'm sure that there must be some reciprocal feeling to its unlikeliness, to its insanity or whatever. Um, and yet no, and yet on another level, we know that nothing supernatural can happen, nothing miraculous can actually happen. That when we get to the top of the mountain, it's going to be the same as anywhere else, and we'll just continue moving around randomly at that time. And that really all that awaits us is death, is pannenkoek turning off the stream. Nothing more can happen, and yet we still watch. We still want to see him go up this bridge. We still cheer for the bridge over any other outcome, even though there isn't any significant difference. Just because there is still a novelty in life, there is still meaning that we can confer from random events, from meaningless things. There's kind of a rhythm to it that we fall into, where even things like this extremely shaky, epileptic type camera starts to feel comforting, starts to feel warm. The way it clips behind us and shows that huge empty void. And we know that there is such voids. We know that there is the void of space and the void of time, and that even the space we have to move around is an extremely infinitesimal snapshot of time and space, and that nothing can really be inferred from it. Um, and yet we even become comfortable with that. It's something that I think we can even choose to embrace, in its awe-inducing potential, in the fact that we know this can't possibly be it. That's nice. That's nice. So it seems like he's mostly stuck in this little area here. This is a rare example, I think, of a truly random walk, in a lot of computer science type things, in kind of looking through solution spaces. Often a pseudo-random walk will be employed, where you do have some sort of constraints, you do have some sort of checking and optimization type things, but you want a randomness in order to kind of counteract any like actually harmful biases that you're putting into your program. So it's like if you're trying to find the solution to I don't know what a good example problem is. The traveling salesman problem, classic, of course. You kind of can have this random walk that explores possible solutions and goes from things that look good to things that maybe look less good, and then oh, we're heading up the mountain. Okay, this is quite substantial. So now that he's past this fence, he basically has to come back. Oh my gosh, he clipped through the fence. That's fascinating. Why did he clip through the fence that one time? And we're back down. He's now heading back the exact way he came, which was really the only uninteresting direction left. It looks like pannenkoek has hacked out most of the other objects in the level. There's not the gate over there. There's not the switch. It doesn't look like the rocks are rolling. The chain chomp gate was gone, and chain chomp himself. Actually, there's bomb-bombs wandering around there, which you don't see either. It'd be kind of cool to include those. I think it would give another sense of like things that could progress and happen. But I think maybe that it would have interfered with the Koopa's logic or something. Anyways, that was quite exciting. I cannot deny that. And that's the sort of thing that you can get when you take a random walk approach. You can get things that you would have never thought of, that you never would have thought of even at the most explosively creative you could possibly be, simply because they just make no intuitive sense and they can't be arrived at through kind of algorithmic thinking, you know? It always reminds me of problems in Gödel Bach, which is a very fascinating book. That shows you a really cool way to think about like number theory and stuff by thinking of them as games that have rules, and that you progress through your theorems by applying these rules in sequence. And this is sort of one way to do mathematics. But a major lesson of the book is that there are true things, there are true kind of solutions that exist in the space that you can't arrive at by playing by the rules. And this is kind of the core of his explanation of Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Of course, all very cool, very mind-blowing stuff. And when you do a random walk, it's more like you're just applying the rules, but you're applying them randomly, because you're saying the kind of meta rules that you have, your meta rules for how you creatively and strategically apply the rules that you're given, aren't enough. And And moreover, a brute force enumeration of just going through every permutation of the rules isn't enough either. So the only thing that's left is this sort of pseudo-random chance where you just kind of leap to ideas that you couldn't have arrived at otherwise, with some sort of policy behind it. It's quite interesting to me, to the fact that this is actually something that's used in certain situations. And there's like all sorts of cool names and stuff for the kind of pseudo-random policies, like simulated annulling or something, simulated that thing where the temperature cools down, some word for that I've seen as a very cool example of these kind of policies that basically just encourage algorithms to veer off seemingly optimal courses to try random things surrounding it. What was my point with all of this? Anyways, oh yeah, that this doesn't have any of that logic. There isn't a policy behind its random decisions. It's just truly doing things randomly. And yeah, we there's some chat memes developing. I see this popping up quite often, even though we witnessed, I guess they didn't witness the fact that you can't fall into the cannon, that nothing will happen there, and that it's already been tried. I'm not sure what I'm personally cheering for. I think Top of the Mountain is much too unlikely. I'd like to see him just get over past that gate and kind of get into that new area. Because the gate is kind of like a nice choke point. It's almost like a minnow trap, where if he's wandering around outside of it there, I think it's fairly easy to wander in. But once he gets on the other side of it, the number of choices that he'll have to make to undo that behavior is pretty unlikely. So I guess what I'm wondering, okay, is if we kind of think of this as more exploring a solution space rather than like just what it is, which is a Koopa wandering around, then we start thinking about like you build like a custom level, and then you have some sort of decision making algorithm based on Koopa's progress through the custom level, and then the custom level changes itself based on the success rate of the solutions found thus far, so that like you have Koopa go in one area, and that leads you to implementing something, and then if that implementation seems good, then that area grows in size, you know, so it's more likely that Koopa will keep returning to it. But then, oh, how do people find that? People are a little unhappy. So people are like, Koopa can fall. He fell off the cliff like 20 minutes ago, but I think that was like a pretty weird instance where probably part of that slope, that sheer slope on the side of the cliff, was like coded incorrectly. It had sort of the wrong parameters put. Because Koopa can't fall. He can't actually be in free fall or anything like that. He can only walk on surfaces. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so you have it that the areas dynamically grow and shrink based on... Oh, there's Goombas over there! That's interesting. I wonder why he took out the Goombas around here, but not the Goombas over there. I would like to see Koopa go interact with those Goombas. Maybe he put that in as kind of a reward to make it exciting if Koopa ever made it over there. I'd like to see a heat map after this, or a total route of Koopa. Yeah, so the appeal of this to me is that it would have a cool visualization, that you would watch Koopa keep trying likely things and then randomly sometimes try unlikely things, which would then lead to unlikely results that would be evaluated. I don't think this is actually like a good way to make a pseudo-random decision-making policy, of course, because normally if you have something that can check instantly the results of something, then you don't need any kind of time-delineated exploration. You can just kind of like spam results and checks and stuff. It only makes sense if the success was measured based on actual like Koopa being there, Like if it was like if people were applauding at some rate how happy they were that Koopa was in an area, and then that dynamically increased the area that Koopa is in, and then it kind of starts making more sense. It was a scented candle I bought. I just felt like maybe having a little smell. So right now it says it's live, but it's actually a premiere. So that means that this is a video file. It's not pannenkoek streaming, but it's a video file that does have an ending. So I'm tempted to say that we'll watch this until it ends. But as far as I know, it could be 24 hours, it could be 48 hours. It could just go on. Well, it can't go on indefinitely. I think there is a hard upper cap on how long a YouTube video can be. But I think I've seen like 50-hour YouTube videos before, so it could be that long. I wonder if pannenkoek is watching himself. It really makes you appreciate a lot of the odd choices in Bomb on Battlefield. Like, what is that little rocky outcropping there? It looks like obsidian or turquoise or something like that. Is there a reason for it to be there? Is it to help orient you in some way? Is it just to add a little flavor to the whole world? Like, maybe it's to make that path veer out. It's like they wanted to have a curvy path just to really emphasize the 3D-ness of it all. And then they wanted a reason for the path to curve, so they put the rock in. This path does curve a little bit, right? Or am I crazy? If Koopa can head over there. So this is also interesting. Like how long would it take you to actually map the level if this is the only thing you could see? Is an interesting question to me. And like how various bottlenecks and chokeholds increase the expected time of various areas. Like that kind of function, I think, would be kind of cool. So people are unhappy because they want him to go up the bridge, but I want to see him go over here. I want to see him go through the door over there, because it's easier to get to the mountain if you're over there anyways. The really hard part is that big white slope, that he can get partway up the mountain and then head back down that big white slope. Once he gets past that, things will be a lot more smooth sailing. I saw an interesting comment earlier before I started recording that said the reason that Koopa's shorts look pink is actually due to an error where they forgot to... Oh my god! Oh, please, please, please. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Okay, go talk to a Goomba. Go talk to a Goomba. Oh, there's Mario. Mario is up in that tree. That's exciting. We saw that for the first time. Oh, that's why there's only Goombas there. It's because they're close to where Mario actually is. So they're loaded. And that's why there's still stuff like the little moving platforms here and the wing cap box, because they're universally loaded. You see that I exhibited no despair when Koopa returned to this boring early area that we've seen a million times, even though he was so close to interacting with the Goombas and interacting with Mario. It's the asymmetry of that really allows novelty to have its almost magical effect on the experience of living life. It's asymmetric. I was happy when he went, but I wasn't sad when he left, because I knew that I wasn't unhappy watching him run around here. And even if I was slightly happier when he went to the new area, that downtick in happiness isn't actually unhappiness. It isn't actually unpleasant. It's just kind of like more like a return to the mean or something, you know? So it's like you can just take that increase without really reckoning with the decrease. My memory of it, my excitement, and my memory of that excitement persists, despite the fact that it was it's been undone now, that it's been robbed. All right, this is exciting too. He's on the other side of this bridge. That's a kind of a good marker. And now he's back on this side. And that's fine. Other things I'd like to see him interact with. A shot where he looks like he's talking to the sign would be great. A shot where he's completely squished by that thing at its nadir would be great. Seeing him go over the tilting bridge would be unreal. That would just make me stand up and applaud. Probably the dopamine would just be like exploding in my body. But yeah, I see a great potential in this sort of medium. What it kind of reminds me of is that there was a TV show that I watched as a kid called Hammy the Hamster, and it was a real institution on Canadian kids TV. I don't think it's around anymore, but I knew that it had been going for quite a while when I started watching it. And what it was is kind of like a sitcom or slice of life show starring a hamster, where they just had a real hamster and they would put it into like doll houses and other kind of like sets that they had built for it in miniature. And then it being a real hamster, it couldn't really follow commands or anything, so it would just do whatever, and they would narrate it as if it was like the story. And usually the story would just be kind of told in conversation and dialogue and stuff, so it didn't really matter what the hamsters were doing. But there was this nice surreality where Hammy would regularly just be like knocking food off of his table and destroying his furniture and like just ignoring his house guests whom he was supposed to be talking to, who themselves were usually just destroying things and stuff. And the narrator would be like, and then Hemi thought, I don't think I shall have this toast after all, and put it on the floor where he might have it later. Hemi's friend Gerbilee noticed this and immediately went and started sniffing Hemi's plate. Do you think it'll be fun when we go to Sparrow's tea party tomorrow? He asked Hemi while rooting around in Hemi's garbage. Sure thing, Hemi said, and then he did a poo. I don't think they ever did a poo, but it felt like that could happen. It kind of felt like anything could happen. And just sort of trying to attribute meaning and a narrative to the almost random actions of an animal, I think is quite funny, and it kind of reminds me of this. I also really like kind of the meme. Well, of course, I love these memes. I'm not sure why this started, but this is great. Trains rights and trans rights. Of course, I'm big fans of those both. Not this. Is this Hikage from Senran Kagura? You get her out of your display picture. Anyways, but normally the sort of mimetic culture that follows streams like this is to like cheer outrageously when certain random events happen. So the one I'm thinking of is there was like a live stream of this intersection that became very popular for a little while, and people like cheering when like certain trucks drove by that had been driving by certain times, or like when people went into a certain shop on the corner, everyone would like cheer and freak out. Like that sort of super hyper stimulated attributation of meaning to things happening kind of randomly and happening very mundanely, I think is very entertaining. And again, it kind of is this sort of like magical asymmetry where each individual person has no reason to be invested, and each individual person couldn't make anyone else invested. But if you hit a critical mass of people that are all pretending to be invested for the sake of each other, then it is actually very easy to be legitimately invested. Because what you're invested in isn't actually seeing the thing itself, but seeing this explosive, ironic reaction to the uneventful thing. Oh, it's 11059. Yo, that guy's a legend. That guy is a legend of Mario 64. Let's see. I think the most likely interesting thing we're going to see is another up and over here, where he interacts with the Mario tree or interacts with Goombas and stuff. I would say that before the stream ends or before the video ends, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see a full-on pseudo collision with a Goomba, which would just be like fantastic. Would just be, I think, a redemption of humanity up until now. I'm becoming increasingly skeptical of walking through the gate and getting into that like second world. It just doesn't seem like the odds are with us with that one, which surprises me. You can see that this wall here, the fact that there's these kind of two walls, is very, very significant in how it influences the random walk, right? Like just the fact that these two options are cut off, that when he's standing here, there's like only like a 50% chance of progress in some direction, whereas in a totally open space, of course, progression in all directions is equally likely and adds up to 100%. Basically, it's like twice as likely that he'll hang around this wall as it is that he'll do anything else, if you know what I mean, right? Um, this is honestly a pretty good way to kind of teach people about random occurrence and stuff, or even like gaseous pressure and such. You can kind of see as an analogy here that if we think of Koopa as a gas, and I'm having a gas watching this, then like the pressure that Koopa, like the areas where Koopa spends more time are areas that are like high pressure, basically. It's like a perfect analogy for this two-dimensional gas. um, it's pretty neat. It's kind of cool to think of a Mario 64 level as a purely two-dimensional surface, you know? Like there of course still is height. Koopa can still change his Y position, but he can only move on X and Z axes, right? Like he can't jump. The only thing that's different is that he can go on a bridge and go over a place that he's been before. You know, like he can be on two different y-axis spots. So it isn't quite completely flat. It's kind of an interesting flatness. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm almost running out of things to say, and yet at the same time, it feels like I've barely scratched the surface, and that if I really want to commit to this bit, then half an hour is pathetic. Half an hour isn't enough at all. I think it's interesting the way that you can see the back of Koopa's eyes. I think I'd never really considered how strange a character model that is. And then in later Koopa models, there's like part of his skin, like part of his shell, or like his skull, I mean, sorry, is up and behind the eyes. Whereas here, the eyes just stick out from the top. So you can see the back of his eyeballs when he's running around like this. And we'll never ever see his face. Of course, when you're playing normally, you're kind of more often seeing his face than not, and his face probably makes much more of an impression on you than the back. So you don't really think about this perspective. I'm pretty sure if I had never seen Mario 64 before, I wouldn't have even guessed that this was a Koopa. It can be interpreted in all sorts of strange ways. You could see it as like kind of like a slime type yellow monster that's kind of crawling out of a pot, like maybe like almost like a RuneScape-esque depiction of a pot, and the pot lid, it's pushing it away, and this whole structure is running around on little feetsies. You see it? You see it? I don't know if I see it anymore. You can also see his back kind of as a cow's face. Oh, he's going up the bridge. Oh, still going up the bridge. Oh, changing his mind about the bridge. And he fell? What? What the hell? I did not think he could fall like that. I did not think he could fall like that. That blows my mind that he could fall like that. All right, well, that's quite interesting that he could fall like that. All right, that was good. That was good. The platform was right down at the nadir, and it kind of squished him. That was great. The chat has veered extremely political, and there's some pretty sweet takes here. I bet Lollycat Girls 19 has a nuanced take on politics. That's awesome. Can we do another stage? No. The only other stage that you could properly do is Tiny Huge Island. But there's no way that pannenkoek is going to switch like that. We still haven't seen the potential here. Another thing I'm curious about is this wall behind him. I'm pretty sure he can go up this slope a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to kind of get up and over into the area to in front of him now, you know, up above that fence. People still commenting about going into the canon, I think, is interesting, because it's this like kind of mimetic game of telephone where it's unclear whether or not they're coming up with this idea of Koopa going into the canon on their own, because it's like impossible. And if you've been watching the chat for a while, or the stream for a while, you'd know that it was impossible. But see, it's like he keeps going over to check. And now it's like all the current people watching will no longer spam canon. Oh, Ted got mod. Since the last time we saw Ted, he got mod in this channel. But he's just memeing. He knows Koopa can't fall in the cannon. So like that wave of people will no longer meme about the cannon. But then slowly it'll like build up, only among new people. And the people who are saying he can't fall into the cannon will be, of course, summarily annoyed or ignored. I'm gonna heat up some food, but I'll be back in a second. Well, I mean, I'll be back as soon as I put it into the microwave, and you can continue to hear me talk. Oh, he's over here now, huh? So, I like that pannenkoek made this and didn't care at all how erratic the camera looked. Okay, so this is one thing I was wondering about. It's like very, very flat. It's very sheer here. So I don't think you can go up one over there. But is there like a bridge of lesser slope right at the top that if he manages to like walk his way up here? The other question is, can he seam walk? Now, seam walking may seem very unfeasible given that he would have to hit pixel perfect the spot. But once he gets going, I think he's kind of locked onto the seam, perhaps? But that would only be for specific seam walks. Oh, he's getting in the corner. He wants to do a seam walk. But I don't even know if there is a seam walk there. I think that's more in situations where we have acute angles or like a super sheer slope that normally Koopa can't walk on or Mario can't walk on. But Koopa can already walk on a lot of slopes that Mario can't. Like the one that he was walking on just now, I don't think Mario can walk on. All right, he's heading over to the tilting bridge barrier. My fried chicken leftovers that I'm heating up are almost done. Oh, see, I'm so shocked whenever he falls like that. I did not think he could fall like that. And I wonder, like, what are the rules around him falling? Probably Pannen knows. Probably Pannen knew already and was able to just infer from lots of things. Bridge Gang. All right, see, this is what I love. Bridge Gang and Cannon Gang fighting each other. I, of course, am Gate Gang. I think Gate Gang has the most fun alliteration. That's good fried chicken. I don't think I need any sauces or anything. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe we'll have some Japanese mayo with it. So we've talked about random walks, and this is an interesting example of a random walk. We've talked about this as metaphor for the human experience. Futilely placing hope and meaning in things that are, of course, arbitrary and insignificant. We've done a little like free association with what's happening artistically and aesthetically. Talked about our hopes and fears. I'm gonna get a bit of mayo. So this is my entire life right now. It's like sometimes difficult to reckon your kind of collective of memories and your understanding of the future and your hopes and fears and all those years. Meeting in one current sensory experience. But really, it's the current sensory experience that is actually the only substantial part of your life. And that all of those other things are just made up of potential sensory experiences or sensory experiences that you can recall from events before. So it's good sometimes. This is kind of like a meditative type thing to do, I guess. To be like, well, right now, this is actually it. This is the entirety of my life right now. I'm watching this. I'm talking endlessly into the camera. I'm eating fried chicken with mayonnaise. I'm tasting that, smelling that. And that's pretty good. I'm listening to this Bomb on Battlefield music and Koopa's little walking sound effect, as I have been for 35 minutes plus. Hendas. This is weird. This is interesting. So, I was saying this earlier that that the pinkness of his shorts is actually a mistake in the code, that it doesn't have the right shader. And when I first saw that, it was quite a thorough explanation of it. But then this person has kind of like just remembered the essential part of it to pass it on further. I'm going to see mimetic learning in effect. And with the whole canon gang thing, where people keep thinking that he can fall into the canon and cheering for it, and then a wave of people is disappointed until the next wave builds up. It's going to be more and more difficult for the next wave to build up. I think this is hilarious. Ted has been just nonstop great comments. It's going to be harder and harder for the wave to build up as a mass of people that actually know the truth of Koopa not falling into the canon persist. Like that group grows and grows, and each one is capable of squashing a would-be canon gang bandwagoner if they're able to convince them of the impossibility. I really like this one. He wants to try Thai elevator. He wants to try the elevator. There's something cute about it. He just really wants to try it. He thinks it would be fun. Attributing this sort of like a kind of innocent agency to him. What it kind of reminds me of is the gondola memes. Gondola, of course, is a mutation of Spurdo, and Spurdo himself is a mutation of Pedo Bear. So this is a meme with a long and weird history. But after those two, kind of like abrasive, very kind of edgy memes, Spurdo and Pedo Bear, we get Gondola, who is this totally innocent creature, this kind of strange life form that is unspeaking, silently observing, kind of like walking through life, shifted in some unseen dimensional axis that it can only observe, can only just see the world unfolding around him with this sort of strange sense of like not really understanding but appreciation. He doesn't know what things are for, but he has like a great sort of sensory wiseness where he fully takes in the experience. And what he gets from it isn't just kind of a trivial happiness or novelty or excitement or whatever, but like a deep kind of significant, enriching, profound experience in seeing the world around him. That's what you kind of infer from Gondola and the places where he lingers and such. Kind of living almost like a Yume Nikki-esque life out in the world is the character of Gondola. Looks like the rights argument was kind of straying and stuff. A lot of people saying shoutouts to Simple Flips. Nice VSC at the end. I don't know what that refers to. VSC is like some vertical speed conservation, where you can do a trick to it's like during your like upward flip out of a dive, if you like clip the flip, then you get I think you can walk up that slope. Up that little like crevice in the mountain is actually just a very steep slope that I think you could possibly walk up. Now it looks like he can't fall off that edge. I think he maybe can't fall off that edge. But I don't know, he fell off the bridge, so I think anything is possible now. We're sure getting lucky if he can't fall off that edge. You can hear the rocks rolling. It loads the sound effect, but not the rocks. Anyway, so yeah, VSC is like, you clip out of your dive recovery flip, I think, or something else like that. And then the next time you would move upwards at all, you conserve your vertical speed. This is great. He's in an entirely new area. Even if he doesn't go up the mountain from here, we're definitely going to get some exciting new territory. The only thing that could be bad is if, yeah, it looks like he's heading for it. It looks like there was some real intention to go back down that white slope. So I don't know what Ted was referring to when he said that there was some good vertical speed component. Get that red coin? Get that red coin? Okay, this is disappointing. He finally went through the gate that I was very excited for, but he went the wrong way. But he's going back up the slope. No, he's going back down the slope. Gate. I'm glad I got gate, though. Gate I was excited for. We haven't really gotten into the new world yet, though. What I'd like to see is him to get back to the starting area, like right up here. Here, up there. In the area with the poles and stuff. I think that's like not totally impossible. Not totally unlikely or unfeasible. Up the mountain. Oh my gosh. I just want to see him try going up that slope. I'm sure you can do it. This is pretty crazy. Feels like anything is possible right now. No. But he's heading for the gate. No, he's not. This is great. Okay, I'm done my chicken. It's quite tasty. I'm gonna get a drink. Put the mayonnaise back. Oh, snap! Okay, that was sweet. Went through the gate, went through the tunnel. Almost touched the red coin, but you know, I wouldn't have done anything, so it's almost better to not touch the coin and keep the mystery alive. Or maybe he's going for the coin, I don't know. Oh, he can't get down! Oh, he can't fall down that one? Why can't he fall down that one? This is exciting though, going over this bridge. Ooh, touch the other cannon. That's pretty good. I'd like to see him go to the spot that warps you. That would be exciting. Go talk to that sign. Nah. There's another red coin up here. Go for it, go for it. Oh, so close. I think if that was Mario, he would have touched it. I think the hitbox is big enough. I think those are the only 2 red coins you can get. Oh, no. There's a couple on the ground near the part with the pegs and stuff. Ooh, almost all the way up that slope. That's crazy. He loves this slope. And it kind of makes sense because 2 of the walls are largely closed off for him. So I think it's pretty likely that he would keep running around that area. And then, of course, he just leaves as soon as I say that. Okay. So this is pretty exciting when he's on the mountain here. I'm almost too enraptured to even come up with anything meaningful to say. This area seems kind of prison-like, you know, with that big wall. But he's actually only just seconds away from the most devastating area. The Koopa equivalent of that big... As soon as he goes down that white slope, you know, love is over. And he's really towing the line here. I actually really hope that this becomes like a big meme. There's 1K people watching now, but I feel like this is going to go on for a long, long time. So if we can have a 1K people kind of propping in and out, that's definitely enough for kind of a meta community to form. But yeah, this white slope here, this is definitely the demon of whatever religion this will ultimately inspire. And here he goes, all the way down. Down, 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 back into the area that we know and love, the starting area, the starting little valley. Disappointing. Oh, he's on his way back up. He wants to give it another shot. So as the white slope taketh away, so it giveth too. I often think about the kind of pseudo-random events of nature and how early man, unable to kind of understand the true causality of the things happening around him, created all sorts of kind of mystical understandings of patterns and random events. So something like this, you have to ascribe some sort of religious faith to how things are happening. And yet I could see that being quite tempting. That was quite the fall there. I didn't know if you'd make that jump or not. Like, should we start praying? that Koopa goes up the hill? Should we turn to the candle perhaps? The candle didn't do anything before, but it smells quite nice, so you know, it might have been able to help us. I like the that's maybe my favorite part. This is the first time I've seen a message retracted, not a message deleted. My name is Koopa, I'm here to say I'm walking around in a major way on this bob-bomb battlefield. I want to go up the slope, but I'm given bridges of rope. Da-da-da, I feel like red is full of worms, and I can only do things randomly. I am Koopa, and this is what I see. The camera's erratic, and the thing is that the level is totally static. Even if I get there, it won't enact any meaningful change, because the universe is a static position of a perpetual system of motion that is created by stars exploding and stuff being forged in higher mineral capacity through the supernova process of material sort of fusion. That's what gave us silicon for this chip. Silicon chip made in Japan and put into a plastic shell. That's the plan, and shipped to North America, where this pannenkoek kid found it. Computer science student, loved Mario, trying to find experimental flow. Shoot to get a few A presses. Going past the bridge again. Where are you going, my friend? Go up the slope. Don't be a dope. The star is up there. Get the coins and the time. Keep on running. It's not running to try this. Go up the slope again, Koopa. Go up the slope again, Koopa. Don't turn around, don't turn a frown. You should be the Koopa today. Go all the way to the top. Do not ever try to stop. If you don't make it, we don't want to get. Try to go up the slope, Koopa. Try to go up the slope, Koopa. Don't turn around, don't turn a frown. You can make it there. Don't clip through the fence again. Then I won't be your friend. Don't feel the you did it, and now you're here. Here again, you are my friend. Get that red coin on the top mountain. There's a cannon over there too. You can fall. No, just kidding. Dang. He was really making some progress there. Now we're all the way back down here. It seemed like the rapping was helping. That's clearly the scientific thing we've observed here. I think it's actually possible if he gets all the way up into this corner that he could make a major sequence break, got back up. But this area is actually not that uninteresting. Like, we haven't spent that much time here. If he heads, yeah, there's like the bomb over here, which is exciting. There's some Goombas over here. There's the tree with Mario in it. This is very close to his actual home, where he lived when he was a shelled entity and not just this creature of constant panic. That's the other thing that we need to remember is, like, Koopa is unhappy, right? You might think of this as sort of a Sisyphean thing that, you know, he's constantly trying to fight his way up the mountain and then constantly falling. But this is exciting. He's in the Chain Chomp cage. It's pretty cool. It looks like the tilting bridge might actually be deloaded, which is really unfortunate. Yeah, it's not there. The shadow is just painted on the ground. Oh, that is so unfortunate. The bridge actually only loads near Mario. Dang, that sucks. That sucks. All right, now we're back to this. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so, you know, Camus says you gotta picture Sisyphus happy. But here we know that Koopa is not happy. The Koopa thinks he's in peril. Mario is gonna finish him off in any second. He wants back into his shell. He's looking for his shell, as Ted pointed out earlier. Ted, of course, a real insight with Mario 64 stuff. He knows that Koopa only just feels like safe in his shell. So That must be what he's doing. But his shell is gone. His shell has despawned long, long, long ago. If Pannenkoek didn't just deliberately break it. So there is no comfort for him to be found in this world. His kind of like womb-like recollection of a safer and more peaceful time. Or perhaps his great cultural memory of when Koopas lived in peace. You know, the state of being of a Koopa in the original Mario Bros. Before they went through the pipe. I'm talking the original Mario Bros. Here. Or in Super Mario Bros. Before Mario came along and stomped them mercilessly. It's like that memory just resides within Koopa, and yet it is impossible now. He's so close to salvation. The great evil that is Mario has been defeated. Oh, that's okay. That's a rip on that wall. No climbing that. So he's back. He's back here. Like we always do at this time. This is definitely the most kind of enclosed area, given that there's walls on 3 sides. So it only kind of makes sense that he would end up being stuck here a lot. Unfortunate, but true. So we're almost at the hour mark. I hope that you enjoy this, because this is what we're doing from now on. As I said, the channel often pivots this time of year, and every year it pivots permanently, and this is no exception. So going forward, you know, this video will eventually end, unfortunately. But I'm sure it's easy enough to rig up this same hack on my own emulator and just be running my own private copy of Koopa and commentating over it hours on end, saying roughly the same things, having the same vaguely nihilistic insights about humanity that really I would struggle to legitimately call insights. We'll probably do some more freestyle rapping if you can tolerate that. So yeah, you know, like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Make sure you know as soon as anyone else when new uploads are coming. Make sure to hit that share button, you know, that nice whooping arrow. That's this video you're watching right now going out into the world. Tell all your friends about the wonders of this Koopa channel. Of course, we're not going to stop here. We might experiment with watching Koopa in Tiny Huge Island. I think that would be quite exciting. There's quite a few areas and a lot of kind of like bottlenecks, so that we're confident that once he starts exploring one place, we can really get some content out of it, some juice, some dopamine flowing. So look forward to that. You know, maybe 2020 sometime we'll have Koopa and Tiny Huge Island. We might have some guests. You know, the channel sometimes features guests, people coming along, talking about their experiences watching Koopa, you know, what got them into Koopa watching. Oh, this is exciting. Go see the bomb. Go see the bomb. No. No, this is fine. This is fine. I want to see him go up into that corner and kind of hop up on the mountain. I think that would be great. Or to check out the other cannon. I think all cannons is a good route to try to get here. These are great. These copy pastas. I'm trying to see where this little man goes. I may be slow, but watch me go. Oh, I love this. I love the Koopa as a trans icon. I guess just because the color of his shorts kind of look like the pink and the trans flag. That's great. That's so great. Trans rights are humans' rights. This is just fantastic. This is so fantastic. And I love that the mods are not deleting any of this. Oh my god, really pink XD from this Korean person. Should be a first-person VR video. Beautiful idea. Wonderful. This is great. This is great. I like this Japanese person called Kairo who just says "si." I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. We're coming up on an hour now. We might stop there. Actually, though, this is... Whoa! Do you hear the Goomba? The Goomba said, what? Do you hear that? Why did the Goomba say that? That's crazy. I guess that's like something that's triggered by the camera. It's triggered by the Goomba being on screen for a certain amount. Because they didn't do is like hop and pounce, which normally accompanies that animation. So I guess normally the thing for Goombas being on screen and making their noise, and the Goombas being relative to Mario and doing their attack are kind of like coincided, and then because of this hack, that sort of logic breaks down. Sort of like, in Macbeth, when they're talking about like the symptoms of disorder in the world. It's interesting the pole is deloaded. I wonder what's up with that. That the horses are eating each other and stuff. The animals are all behaving unnaturally. It's kind of like that. We know that this is like a time of the apocalypse. Koopa is just running around shellless. I'd love to see him interact with this Bomb here. He could maybe even get on the elevator. I don't really know what would happen there. I kind of think he would just clip right through it. But it would be nice to see. To put a heat map where the Koopa is gone also, that would be great. I hope that would be something that you can do. I don't know. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. I'll keep watching until he goes back to yeah, okay. And yeah, now I'm maybe done. Now I'm maybe done. Because we've seen this area quite a lot. This is great. I had a blast watching Koopa. I hope you did too, because as I said, it's just going to be all this going forward. All right. Goodbye. Nah, okay, no, let's just watch a little more. This Koopa kills turfs. Hell yes. Hit the cannon again. Nah, I don't know. Yeah, nah, maybe this is enough. This is maybe enough. All right. Bye-bye.